Today's episode is brought to you by the Breckham Group, a supply chain consulting firm built by operators and engineers, not just advisors. Their experienced team helps companies bridge the gap between strategy and execution inside distribution centers using a proven framework called Precision Supply Chain Operations. The result? Faster performance, greater efficiency, and real ROI. If you need speed, precision, and measurable results, visit breckhamgroup.com.
The New Warehouse Podcast, hosted by Kevin Lawton, is your source for insights and ideas from the distribution, transportation, and logistics industry. A new episode every Monday morning brings you the latest from industry experts and thought leaders. And now, here's Kevin.
Hey, I'm here at the Peak Technologies Executive Briefing Center, and I am sitting down with Tony Rivers, who is the president and CEO of Peak Technologies. And Tony, thank you so much for having me here. Tell me, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for coming out. We're excited to have you here at our Executive Briefing Center.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to be here. And I see, already, and there's lots of technology around here. It's in the name, right? Peak Technologies. But I guess before we kind of dive into some conversation here and talk about the location here and what's going on here, tell us a little bit about Peak Technologies for people that are not familiar.
Sure. So Peak Technologies is a global solution provider, and we provide solutions within the supply chain and transportation and logistics space for different technology venues. We provide a complete solution. So we offer everything from installation to maintenance to the full life cycle around the product sets and solutions we provide.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see a lot of different variety and types of products and I guess partners and brands that you work with and provide for these supply chain individuals and companies, right? And also really interesting to see kind of the services that you offer too. I got a little peek at the maintenance area earlier. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's there. So, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit because there's a variety of technologies in this building that I see that you all offer, and you've been with Peak and in the industry for quite some time, right? So I'm curious to get your thoughts on kind of the warehouse technology landscape in general, and also to hear like your thoughts and maybe your reactions as you reflect back on what's evolved in the technology space since you started until today in 2025.
Yeah, sure. So it's been fun to watch the evolution. I've been in the space, as you said, much too long, over 2 decades. But so yeah, it's been fun to watch. I think when I started out in the space, it was, pretty simple green screen applications with just trying to track, what do I have, identifying product, knowing where it is. But as you know, with the evolution here, now people want things very fast. So Amazon has created the world of, same day expectations. And so that's put a lot of pressure on the supply chain to be able to produce product quickly, get the right product in the right places at the right times. And so, the legacy technology hasn't been able to keep up with that. So it's been evolving very fast here over the last couple of years. And then you couple that with the labor situation out in the market and trying to find enough employees to do the work, and it puts a heavy strain on the supply chain. So I've seen an evolution of needing to use some of these new and emerging next-gen technologies. We call it smart technologies here at Peak.
Okay.
And that encompasses things like RFID, RTLS, robotics, machine vision, AI and analytics, models, et cetera. So we use a lot of different things in that smart technologies bucket to basically allow the employee to be more productive and to get information in more real time to allow you to service those customers who want to see their stuff within an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, you talked about the labor challenges a little bit, right? And trying to make the labor as productive as possible and getting the most, right? And some of those technologies are addressing that or attempting to address that. I'm curious, what have you seen in terms of from, if we look at our consumer life, like our personal life outside of the business and supply chain, right? What have you seen in correlation to how the technology in our normal lives has evolved in comparison to like what is the expectation of that worker and the technology that they're going to be utilizing in a work environment?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, I've seen over time the evolution of the workers themselves, right? And so obviously a younger generation growing up in the Apple world is used to touch screens and
Sure.
touch interfaces and quick responses. And so the days of, having a green screen with prompts with F1, F7, F2, move through 7 or 8 screens to get the information is too slow for them. And so the evolution of Android and some of the newer operating systems has enabled us to do things that we weren't able to do before, and the evolution of touch. So now those employees are expecting that in their interactions with the technology.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to kind of see that. And we talked a little bit earlier before this about how, when you started, it was just we just wanted to scan the barcode, right? And now we've come a long way from that. So what are you seeing right now from your customers or potential customers you talk to? What are they looking for from a technology perspective? What is kind of top of mind for them?
Yeah, so I think it's all about real-time information and information at the point of activity.
Sure.
And so what we've seen is an evolution of, in the old days, I think that things were siloed a bit. And so, it went from one group to the next group to the next group. And now you need that visibility all the way through. And all of those touch points need to be, triangulated so that you know exactly where the product is or exactly where what you're looking for is and when it's going to be at the next stop or the next point. And so it's important that you get that connectivity. And so our customers are trying to figure out how do they tie all those touch points together across multiple facilities within the enterprise or across their delivery mechanism.
Yeah, interesting. And I think we've gone beyond the barcode, right? In a sense, right? You mentioned some of those technologies, RFID and machine vision, to be able to leverage some of that. And RFID has been around for quite some time now. So where exactly would you say we are like in the RFID journey? Is it becoming more accessible? Is it being utilized more? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, RFID was hyped up about 14 or 15 years ago as the next great thing. And I think it worked really well in point use cases. So if it was a closed loop use case when it first came out, it worked great. But now with the price of the tags coming down and the maturity of the technology and our ability to store data in high volumes and make decisions quickly, it's really come a long way. And so now the number of use cases that we're seeing and the problems that it solves are very powerful. So we're doing a lot with that technology now, that combined with Bluetooth and other technologies to really drive, chain of custody and real-time understanding of where things are.
Interesting. And you mentioned the problem that it solves, right? So tell us a little bit about like what is the best, I guess, use case or problem, I guess, for RFID to solve?
Yeah, so if you think about it, the RFID technologies allows you to get a read on a product without doing a physical scan, right? And so that really differentiates how you can track what's coming in or what's coming out or movement through specific points without a human interaction. And so in the old days, when you think about back to when I first started, you had to scan everything, right? Every single box or every single barcode label had to be scanned physically. And so that takes time. And it also is important for the human who's in the loop there to make sure that they actually scanned every box, right? If you're scanning, imagine 100 boxes on a pallet. If you miss one or two, you don't really know that you might have missed one or two, right?
Or
and so
your trigger finger gets tired.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
If your finger gets tired or late in the day, or the barcode is scratched, or there's some issue with the read. And so now with the RFID technology, you're able to get that read without having to have interaction. So if you think about it, and you'll see it out on the floor there, you can go through portals or you can read as you're coming off a truck all of the RFID codes at one point in time, and you're able to see it transition between zones in your organization. So in real time, without having to do a physical scan, you get visibility to your work in progress or whatever you're trying to track.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's such a great way. And, I told you earlier, my background's in inventory control, right? Yeah. So obviously, I love that additional visibility and being able to know where that inventory is and getting those confirmations, right? And navigating some of those things that you might run into with a label or barcode potentially, as you mentioned, like getting scratched off or maybe it's missing or something. So really great applications for that there. Now, if someone is looking to move towards RFID, What does that kind of transition process look like? How does that work?
Sure, yeah. So for Peak individually, we have a set of engineers that will go on site and work with our customers to identify the use case. There's lots of different things that you have to take into account with RFID, the tag type, the read ranges, what you're attaching it to. And so there is a lot involved in what you're trying to do. So we go out and we understand what's the environment, what does the customer's environment look like, what are they trying to track, how are they trying to track it, and we'll build a solution around that based on the right tag types, the right frequencies to be able to allow them to do that. And then from there, we develop the read ranges and types, and there's lots of different things that we can do, all the way from, good old handhelds to fixed mount readers to overhead readers to choke points. So there's lots of different ways that we do it, but we use our engineering team to help design that so that it works straight out of the gate.
Gotcha. And then I guess from the company's perspective, right, that's going to start utilizing RFID. I mean, is that a big change in process to get those tags, I guess, implemented into their product or the packaging, or is that a big change from what they traditionally would do?
No, I mean, it can be as simple as really just using an overlay inside of your regular barcode. So you can really just back your regular barcode with an RFID tag.
Okay.
And then you can start processing and tracking that way. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a major customization to your current workflow. You can actually just put it into your printing technology when you're printing your barcode labels today and start to track it that way.
Interesting. Good to know. And definitely, on this data kind of capture side, right, we talked about the scanning, the RFID, and you've been talking a lot about machine vision too. So tell us a little bit about machine vision, and I guess maybe what is that, and what are some of the applications for that?
Sure. So machine vision is based on, think of it as your eyes. So machine vision is a lot like a set of eyes who is examining things, capturing images of things. And then from those images, we can start to make decisions. So we're capturing a visual image of, let's say, a box, a package, a pallet, whatever it might be. And then from that visual image, we can start to do things based on the image. So we can read barcodes off the image. We can look at size and shapes. We can start to run AI models against those visual images to say, good package, bad package, broken box, whatever it might be. So we use the vision technology as a validation step. You can also use the vision technology for proof, right? So as you capture an image of it, think of things like damaged goods or, wrong stuff on the pallet. If you've got a visual image to go back to, you have proof of custody or proof of condition at the time that you issued the product. So now you're able to fight things like chargebacks or misships or other things like that.
Interesting. So it's giving you kind of more visualization, I guess, to it, right? Which I mean makes sense. Machine vision, right, is in the name there. So it's very interesting. I mean, you have the barcode scanning, the RFID, the machine vision, all this kind of data capture, right? So we're generating this data, and as you mentioned, Amazon has made everybody kind of push to the limits on how great can they be, and a lot of that is tied into the data that we can see or capture, but we need to do something with that data, right? So how do you kind of tie all that together and bring that into like an analytics standpoint?
Yeah, so we have a platform we call Peak Analytics that we do that with, and so what we do is we take all those individual points of data, images, et cetera, and we're able to process those running models to say what the specific output should be. So as an example, we might take a thing like a box, and if that box is, let's say, got a lithium ion tag on it, and you can only put so much lithium ion batteries onto a truck for compliance or onto a plane. And so you need to know how many of those went on that particular pallet so that when you load the truck, you're not going to get a fine or get a problem. And so we can use the vision technology combined with the models to capture that information and trigger an event and say, oh, wait, you're now loading a third pallet onto this truck. You're only allowed to run two. And so we can trigger an event. So we use the real-time capture of the information combined with the analytics and the models to allow you to make real-time business decisions. That would be one example.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I think, it's so interesting to see that. And I have to ask you, I mean, like, when you think back to when you started in this industry, right? To what is capable now, like that use case you just said, I mean, what do you think about that?
It's amazing what you can do now. So it's really fun to see what the technology is able to do. And as a solution provider, it's great for us. So we have the ability now to combine all these technologies and solve some really difficult business challenges that 20 years ago we couldn't have solved. So now we're able to solve those using this technology, and the price points and the speed of compute and other things are allowing us to do things that people never thought possible.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty insane. And I say this quite often that like, I think it's so interesting that, in our industry, right, it's like all this cutting edge technology is like where we're finding kind of a practical application and like a practical home for some of these things. That's really incredible and fascinating to be a part of, as I'm sure you would agree. So now if we look at these things and, we look at, traditionally it's the barcode scanning, right? But we're expanding well beyond that, as we just talked about. I mean, do you see the industry moving away from barcode scanning? Do you see a future where the scanning goes away and we're just relying on like RFID and this machine vision or something else? I mean, what is your view on that?
No, we see a combination. So barcoding will never go away, in my opinion, but I think what we're doing is we're enabling you to do more with less. So it's basically taking the technology and making it more accurate, more efficient, faster reporting, right? So I think the combination of the two will come together over time to enable people to do more with less. But it will, you still have the base need to be able to track items and track things and understand what they are. So I think it's going to be a combination of the two. The method with which you scan will be integrated, but overall, it's going to be here for a long time.
Interesting. So you're seeing people do kind of like a hybrid mix of these technologies. Very interesting. So now, we talked about these technologies, right? And we're here at this executive briefing that you guys have, which is very nice, I will say. So tell us a little bit about the center here. What's the purpose, and how can people leverage this as a tool as they're going through their kind of technology evolution or technology journey?
Yeah, fantastic question. So this facility here was purpose built for exactly what we're doing. So we've brought all the technologies here under one roof. We don't necessarily get an ROI on all of them, but they're here so that we can do thought-provoking conversations. So we have all of the technologies we just mentioned, all those smart technologies, all the regular scanning and print and media technologies here under this roof. And we've created a bunch of use cases around different business challenges so that people can start to understand, like we talked about earlier, how these technologies work together to solve an actual problem. And so when customers come here, they're able to see and understand and touch and feel and really get a handle around how does this technology work? And then they can start to visualize, okay, this is a challenge I have in my business. I didn't realize that this technology could solve this problem for me, right? So we're not necessarily going to be the expert on everyone's problem, but when we bring them in here, they get an ability to understand what the technology is capable of. And then we start to have a detailed conversation around how we could use that technology to solve their challenge, their unique business challenges.
Yeah. And I think that's a great point you said in there, that like they didn't even know that like either this technology existed, right? Or it could be applied to something that's going on for them. And I'm curious your thoughts around that, because we've seen, I mean, since I started doing this podcast in 2019, just even in those 6 years, like, I've just seen the explosion of technology, which is awesome. Like we talked about this evolution, but also the options and the variety is just like huge, right? There's so many different ways to go, so many different options for different use cases and different problem sets, and then like multiple different options for that too. I mean, how do you as Peak kind of help these customers kind of navigate that vast array of options where, they may feel overwhelmed almost, like where do I even start or begin?
Yeah, absolutely. So part of the beauty of this center is we're able to bring customers in, but we're also able to bring their product in, right? So whatever they're trying to do in their supply chain evolution or warehouse or whatever they're trying to use the technology on, we've brought their pallets, their boxes, their totes, their structure into the facility, and we've shown them the art of the possible. So we actually bring it in and we'll show them how to track it, how to use it, how to apply it, what the vision and the modeling could look like. And so it starts to really help them along that journey. So we can start to use the technology in a slow evolution. So it's not an all or nothing. So you can actually start to integrate robotics here or put a little bit of RFID there and start your journey with some real benefits, some real business ROI, and then evolve over time even further down the path. So it's not a all or nothing. We use the different pieces of technology in different places at different times of their, evolution.
Interesting. And maybe I might be putting you on the spot here a little bit, but like, this year or in recent memory, I mean, what's like your favorite use case that you've been able to
Oh, we got
solve?
some great ones. So we've got a solution out on the floor where we've automated scanning at the pallet wrap. So we're using a
Okay.
vision-based solution tied back with OCR where we're able to actually scan the pallet. So you can do a quick spin on your pallet wrap one time. It will scan every barcode, every visible code on that pallet. It will check the pallet to see if it's cubed correctly and if the dimensions are right. And then it will start to wrap it. If it sees something wrong, we have a light bar at the top that will tell you, the operator, hey, pull this pallet off, because before you ship it, we already know there's something wrong. So instead of having it get out the door all the way to the end user and them reporting, hey, we have a problem here, you're catching it at the wrap. A lot of days, in the old days when I used to sell this technology, that would be a human standing there with a scanner, scanning every box on the pallet before the pallet was wrapped. And now we've automated that process. So that's one of the new ones that we have. We have another one at the dock door, we call dock door scanning, where we're doing the same thing with the vision technology. So you're coming off the truck through a choke point or through a tunnel, and we're taking camera-based images of the pallet, and we're able to read the LPN, read the contents of the pallet, see the size and the shape of the pallet, validate that the pallet isn't damaged as it's coming off. Same thing going on. So we're able to validate that through the SAP or whatever backend system you have. Hey, this pallet isn't supposed to be going on this truck. And so we're avoiding missed ships, we're avoiding wrong ships, and we're taking an image of it as it goes on. So we're also validating proof of quality. So if you get a chargeback from your vendor, which is a common thing in the industry, you're able to fight that chargeback because we have those images stored in the back end. So we're able to validate that, fight those chargebacks, and keep that money in the company. And so that's another interesting use case. We're doing the same thing on forklifts now. So we've got a forklift-based solution where we're actually capturing, as we approach the pallet, we're scanning the pallet as the operator picks it up automatically. And then we're able to capture an image of the pallet as well. So we can tell, did they get the right pallet that they're supposed to be picking up? And what's the quality of that pallet as they pick it up? And then we're able to capture where they put it away. So it's a full cycle. So
so it's kind of like a full audit all around at all these different points. And I love the pallet wrapper one. I mean, I think that's like such a, that's such a little thing that I think probably people don't necessarily like stick out in their head that like this is like efficiency kind of loss here where somebody's just standing there. But, being able to do those two tasks at the same time, I think that's a huge efficiency gain when you think about the volume of pallets that probably move through
through the pallet wrap. And again, it's a lot of this is around the conversation we had earlier with labor, right? So some of it is just, it's not that we're eliminating jobs, we're actually enabling customers to apply that labor to other places to be more efficient, right? And so the customers that we've deployed this with already are using that labor to do other tasks that they didn't have enough bodies to do the tasks. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tell us a little bit about, because Peak has some of their own solutions, right? Some of the ones you were just talking about, but then you have a lot of partnerships too. Like, I mean, you're showing some Zebra on your desk here today. So tell us a little bit about how those partnerships work and how do you, I mean, I guess maybe this kind of reverts back to the other question, but from a different angle, like, there's so many options out there in the market. Like, how do you choose the partners and how do you make sure that, you're working with partners that are going to solve the problems of your customers?
Yeah, no, great question. So we work a lot with Zebra and some of the other large manufacturers in the space, and we try to provide our customers with best of breed options. And so we bring the technology into this facility, we validate it, we test it, and we give opinions around what works best for that environment. So in those vision solutions that I talked about, there's lots of factors, right? And same with RFID, where, depending on the environment you're in, what you're attaching it to, the state of humidity and all kinds of other factors, we may have to use different lenses, different readers, different glues, so we have to have a host of manufacturers that we work with, but that's what our customers rely on us for. So we're able to give them guidance quickly so that they don't have to go out and try to bring in 4 or 5 different things and play around with them and figure out which one's the best. We've already done all that testing and validation. So as a solution provider, they can come here and we can show them the options that will work because we already know what works. And so it allows them to cut their cycle time down. It allows them to get to testing on something that they can, validate quickly and then get to ROI.
Yeah, interesting. And what does that look like? Like what do you go through on your end for validation before like you're ready to show a solution to a customer to say like, okay, this is something that's viable and could be effective?
Yeah, so we do all kinds of test scenarios and validation work around the OS, the security, the read rates, the speed. We create scenarios where we know it should fail to figure out what's going to, what could work in the environment and what can't work in the environment. And then obviously we have a very large set of customers, so we're out in the real world all day long, seeing what's working, what's not working, what's causing things to fail. And then Peak has a very large practice around field service. And so we're out servicing solutions all day long and installing solutions. So we get a good sense of, what failure rates are, what's working, not working in certain environments, what's causing failures. And so we can take that data back into our solution engineering team and allow them to use that to put better solutions on the floor that have maximum uptime.
Yeah, interesting. I think that's a huge win for your customers or potential customer, because they're not having to necessarily go through that vetting process. Like you're taking that on for them, right? So very interesting there. And we talked to kind of about the evolution of warehouse technology and kind of the technologies that exist right now. So if you look into the future, right, what do you think is going to be some of the prevalent technologies that stand out, and what should people be kind of keeping in the back of their head to be looking at in maybe a couple of years?
Yeah, so I think the evolution is the smart technologies that we talked about at the beginning. Okay. That's what we're starting to see really solve a lot of the challenges that we couldn't solve for in the past. So I think things like RFID and Bluetooth for real-time location is, critical technologies. The robotic technology is really evolving. So goods to person, persons to goods, AMR, those type of things are really evolving well and solving some good challenges. And then the vision technology is really enabling us to, with capturing those images and then being able to process images and store images at high volume with the speed of compute now, we're able to put analytics on top and really start to, supercharge the output, right? So the mistakes and the error proofing is getting way better because of that technology.
Yeah, interesting. And I'm seeing a lot on the vision side too, kind of just exploding. And I think there's so much opportunity there to just give us a better picture and just really understand, and coming back to that data portion too, and capture that as well. So really interesting to see those kind of develop, and we'll be interested to see that evolution too as well. So how do people, if they want to see some of these technologies and they want to come up here to Peak, I mean, how do you get an invite up here?
Yeah, just reach out to us. We have regional reps all over the country. And so just reach out to us through our website and you can schedule a visit. There's an executive briefing overview on the website, so you can see a little bit about the facility. But if you just enter your information there, we'll follow up with you and get something scheduled for you to come out and see all the technology.
All right, fantastic. And if people want to learn more about Peak Technologies in general, what's the website?
www.peaktech.com.
There you go. Yeah. All right. So Tony, appreciate you sitting down with me here and inviting me up to come check this out myself. And really great to see these technologies and hear about some of the evolution that you've seen in the industry, and what you're seeing is happening right now. And it sounds like data capture evolving into analytics is kind of really the next level for these operations, and being able to get that better insight on what's happening, and then transfer that over to their consumer and their customer to serve them better. So thank you once again for your time.
Thank you very much. It was great to have an opportunity to host you here.
You've been listening to the New Warehouse Podcast with Kevin Littleton. Subscribe and check us out online at thenewwarehouse.com.
Enjoyed this episode? Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast, and for more content from the New Warehouse, find us on LinkedIn and YouTube. Links to subscribe can be found in the show notes, and for everything The New Warehouse, head to thenewwarehouse.com.